So the American dream is dead. And Donald Trump knew that because he promised a golden age. Now he's trying to do like a Biden-inflation gaslighting op to convince everybody we have a golden age. It's not going to work. And he hangs out with basically his golfing buddies all day. And that's somebody, in my opinion, like you said, who wants to be loved and not be what I think we need, which is a wartime president.
Mark, always good to talk to you. Delighted to have you back. I'm sorry to disturb whatever you were just looking up, but let's get to President Trump's numbers.
Already you got jokes right out of the gate, John. It's going to have to be an inside secret what I was just looking up, but
nothing illegal.
No.
Well, I guess it depends what country you're in. It could be illegal. President Trump's numbers today, as we sit here on December 11th, where is he at? Is he still underwater? I know you've been going back and forth that numbers have dipped below. They've come up a little bit, but I feel like we're in a weird place right now.
We certainly are. I think we're at an inflection point. Now, I don't even know if we've talked on air before my trip down to Washington, D.C., and even before or after the special elections. But going into the beginning of November, the worst that Trump had done was a -4 net approval rating, which is not that terrible. But you'd hope it'd be better since he got one of the biggest mandates for his agenda of any Republican president ever in recent history. But then November was a complete crap show. I mean, the government shutdown and then SNAP being defunded, and then the elections were horrible because Republicans weren't able to convert the Trump voter from 2024. And then Trump's all over the map fighting the press about affordability and counter signaling his base on things like H-1Bs and the student visas. And we've been polling on all that stuff. And I was so openly hostile to the administration for not understanding their base. Like I was getting hundreds of DMs from people who were burning their MAGA hats and saying, I thought Trump was going to be our Franco, and I guess he isn't. And we're just going to have to all wait. This country's screwed. We're all going to die. So people were a little bit histrionic. It was a mess. And Trump's numbers certainly suffered over the last week. It got down to a -12 approval rating net, which again, Biden has done worse and Trump has also done worse, but it was during the Russian collusion hoax. And when Biden was at -12, there were people falling out of C-130s in Kabul, like basically is where we were at, or in Afghanistan. So that's recovered. He's back up to -4. And I went and gave him advice. I think it's helped change the way that he has been messaging on the economy, but I don't know if it's enough. So Democrats are +3 on the generic ballot. The gerrymandering war of attrition continues on. It's going to be everybody fighting for like 1 inch on the football field next year for the midterms, and I have no idea who's going to win. But the message that I've been saying is that, listen, you guys got elected for a reason and people want you to do more. And if you fail, it's because you've not done enough. And so Republicans and Trump need to get together and lay out what a real plan to fix America looks like. I would have thought they would have had one coming into this administration. But what I'm starting to find out is that it was kind of just like what Trump 1.0 was, which was chaotically just throw a bunch of crap at the wall and see what sticks. But unfortunately, this time around, it seems like he's drawing a lot more guidance and input from like the wrong people, like donors and foreign nations and Fox News hosts. And he needs to get a little bit more input from younger people in the internet, I think.
Yeah, I am in total agreement with you on that. You know, people got upset when he had Elon Musk around him. And little do we know, Elon Musk, he's an oligarch, Elon Musk. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just what he is, right?
Yep.
I love the hell out of him. I think he did a terrific job, and was unceremoniously pushed out because he thought he was going to be able to do more than he actually could. He, like every person who goes into government, Mark, you've luckily never had to work in government, but any person who goes into government, you go in with these big expectations, and then you get in there and you realize the whole thing's just a melting pot, and there's really very little wiggle room on where you can go left and right because everyone's just so corrupt and compromised. You and I went down to DC together. You saw exactly how it worked. It's, work 2 hours a day and dine out 8 hours a day on the donor's dime. It's just what it is. Everyone's dream job should be to be a politician. But you're right. I think he is surrounded now by some of the worst people. And it's the people, Mark, who hated him his entire career. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, Baljeet from Google, whatever the heck his name is. All these different people who have hated his guts, who have now somehow wiggled their way in. Tim Cook over at Apple, who have wiggled their way in now to be in his good graces. And President Trump doesn't like to be hated. So, he's taking it all in, and he's loving the fact that these people are kissing the ring and they're showing him respect. But on the back end, Mark, behind closed doors, they're doing everything they could to undermine America and our workers.
Yes, 100% yes to all of that. You forgot to mention Lindsey Graham, but yeah, to 100% all of that.
By the way, while, I don't mean to cut you off, but while everyone's getting outed for being gay, what's taking so long with Lindsey Graham?
I don't know. I heard the Ladybug story for the first time since we've talked, and it's changed me.
Go on back to what you're saying. I apologize.
This is a family-friendly show, I guess. So, we can't go into it, but no. I forgot what I was saying. Now
you were talking about all the people compromised, and Lindsey Graham is another one.
Well, this is what. Yeah, Brett Baer. I said this to Trump. He was bragging about golfing with Lindsey Graham and how great Lindsey Graham's drive is. And isn't it awesome about how much money Lindsey Graham can raise? And I love golfing with Brett Baer. And I said, sir, why would you golf with Brett Baer? He's like, what are you talking about? And I said, well, he stole your election, sir. And most people who support you got rid of Fox News on November 3rd, 2020. And he's like, yeah, that was really bad. And then 2 weeks later, he's golfing with Brett Baer again. Brett Baer's pumping his fist while Trump is sinking a putt. It's like, what are we even doing here? So I think you put your finger on it exactly, which is what America is objectively much worse off than it was 10 years ago. And if you want to be a Trump fluffer, you could certainly cherry pick economic data and say, well, things aren't that bad. But they really are, because my death of the American dream polling wouldn't be off the charts bad if things weren't bad. So the American dream is dead. And Donald Trump knew that because he promised a golden age. Now he's trying to do like a Bidenflation gaslighting op to convince everybody we have a golden age. It's not going to work. And he hangs out with basically his golfing buddies all day. And that's somebody, in my opinion, like you said, who wants to be loved and not be what I think we need, which is a wartime president. We need a General Patton that understands exactly who we're fighting, why and how, and what the strategy is. And the clock is ticking right now. How many days left? And it is, 326 days. So whatever he does between now and then has to be enough to convince Americans that Republicans can govern, that Trump and Republicans together can govern. And what are Republicans doing? They're passing like resolutions against anti-Semitism in the House.
I want to say something, because you didn't get to know Lou Dobbs. I wish you did, because you would have loved him and he would have absolutely adored you. There's very few people that he liked, and knowing Lou, he would have loved you. And I don't mean this, I don't even know how to say this, but Lou had an influence on President Trump his first 4 years like nobody else had. And Lou never told anybody. The only time it ever came out that Lou would advise or speak to President Trump would be someone on his staff leaking it, because they hated the fact that President Trump watched Lou's show every single night, and whatever we wrote on that show. I had someone come here the other day telling me, what the hell do you know? You just took over Lou's show. Everything Lou read off a teleprompter, he'd read with me writing part of it or advising him on part of it. So President Trump was watching the show every single night, and Trump would watch it, and he would tell his staff, and this has been reported, so it's not a secret, do whatever Lou Dobbs just said. So the staff hated Lou. They hated anything about him. They tried to keep him away from it, but Lou never shied away, and I spent a lot of time with him. When we were in the city, I'd spend 8-9 hours a day with him. He never shied away from picking up the phone and saying, very respectfully, Mr. President, this is wrong. You have to do this and Trump listened to him. He had someone who had the best interest of his country and the best interest of President Trump, not the best interest of their pockets. He never took a dime from anybody aside from whoever was paying him, Fox News or CNN at the time. And I think he's got that void because Lou Dobbs isn't picking up the phone and President Trump isn't tuning in every night to hear the cold, hard truth about things that necessarily aren't going good. And Lou never shied away. He was a good friend to President Trump, but he never shied away from telling him the truth, even if the truth hurt his feelings. And I think we have that huge void right now.
Yeah, I'm not going to blow smoke up your ear, John. I think you're 100% right. I think that was my biggest takeaway, which is like, what's really going on? What's really going on down there? Because everybody conjectures and nobody really knows. And having felt the texture of what was happening in the White House, Donald Trump is still very much in charge. He is not a puppet of anybody. He is literally just shooting from the hip. And he does that based on information that he personally collects from the people he thinks are important. And it's not Susie Wiles gatekeeping him. She was actually helped get me down there. She was one of the people who were like, hey, he needs to hear from new voices. And what's happened is he was getting influence from people like you, younger people who understand the real state of America, filtered through Lou Dobbs. And he was getting people like Charlie Kirk, and they're gone now. And so who is he listening to? It's like Sean Hannity. And he talks to that guy for hours. And it's like America and the state of where we're at right now is too important to be governed by people like Lindsey Graham and Sean Hannity. Yeah. They don't really understand. And I don't think Lindsey does, but I'm sure Sean Hannity has the best interest of America at heart. No. But he doesn't buy groceries. He hasn't tried to compete with Indians to get a job. He literally has no idea.
I disagree with you on that, and I'll tell you why. And it's very few times I actually disagree with you. If Sean Hannity had the best interest of America, he wouldn't have Lindsey Graham on his show every night. He knows well Lindsey Graham is not good for America. And, okay, the difference is, Mark, and I don't mean to, like you're right, John, blow smoke up anyone's ass, is Lou Dobbs was one person I knew for a fact never benefited or gained $1 off of President Trump or anything that he did. And as a matter of fact, the stuff that Lou was putting out and spewing, and I don't even say spewing, but the stuff that Lou was putting out, it actually hurt him. If Lou told me there was times along his career, Mark, where he'd gotten contacted by foreign countries. One of them he told me was China. That if he just let off the gas on China in the early 2000s, that he would have been benefited very well with large sums of money. And Lou Dobbs told him, go F yourself. I don't care about your money. I don't want your money. And you know what? People don't know this, but for the first year and a half that we did this show, Lou didn't take a dime, not a dime from sponsors, not a dime from anybody funding him. He funded this show by himself. He funded a merchandise operation by himself that was run by me, which he paid me to do. He paid me out of pocket. He paid his other producers out of pocket to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars a year out of his own pocket.
Yeah, wow.
To not take money because he felt at the beginning, because he was so new to the podcasting space, that it wasn't right. He didn't want to come out here and push sponsorships on people. He didn't want to come out here and sell things because all he wanted to do was push the word forward of America first. Whereas these other guys, Mark, I mean, they run to go take money from whatever foreign country is giving them, whatever scumbag is giving them, just to take the money. And, it pains me because the only thing I knew coming into this industry was Lou Dobbs. And it kind of hurts me because the level of ethics that this man had, you don't see anymore. So, like, I look at things now and I'm like, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. And I'm like, God, man, maybe working for Lou hurt me because he was too ethical, I told him, at least. And we don't have that anymore, Mark. It's terrible.
Yeah. That's why I'm where I'm at for sure, 100%. It's like we are industry pariahs, and it's because I can't be bought. And this is my biggest wake-up call for the industry. Is that, again, people outside looking in, I think, are getting a much better glimpse into what is really going on, mostly because of Twitter. And every single thing I've experienced tells me that it is as bad as I thought it was. In fact, worse in some ways. These people are like cartoon caricatures of selling out in a way that is even more profoundly debased than you could possibly think. You look at somebody, for instance, like Ted Cruz and the way he behaves and the interests that he peddles, and take your pick, and you're probably right. Don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the blackmail or the honeypots or the purchase, but every single one of them, I think it's pretty much the same way. And there is so little integrity in the business that the people deserve better. It's disgusting.
Ted Cruz is the most, and I used to love Ted Cruz. I used to think he was the smartest man in the Senate. I supported him for president in 2016 before President Trump won the nomination. And Lou used to give me crap about it all the time. We'd be with Trump and he would tell him, John, he supported Ted. And I go, you know what, Lou, it is what it is. And, it was just funny. And to see what he's turned into, I mean, and I've heard stories from people, very prominent people down in Houston, Texas. I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but about infidelity. So I don't know, but I've been told from very reliable sources down there, people in the know. Like I said, I haven't confirmed them on my own, but that man has taken a turn. He's put on about 100 pounds, and I don't talk about weight. I'm not exactly skinny myself, but he's put on about 100 pounds. He's got this beard thing now going on, and he is a total shill for Israel, which is like, okay, you can support Israel. That's great. I'm all for it. But you're a U.S. Senator, dude, and you wake up every morning and you post about Tucker Carlson and Israel. You have some sort of mental derangement syndrome. Now, I don't know if he's doing that because he thinks Tucker's running for president and that's going to be his number one competitor, but it's not. If he runs for president, it's going to be J.D. Vance. I don't know what his obsession with Tucker Carlson is, and hopefully we get to see Tucker at AmFest next week because I want to figure out what the is going on with Ted Cruz. The man is having a meltdown, and it happens every single day.
Well, I think we can probably conjecture about what that is. And it's because I think Ted Cruz is smart enough politically to understand that he's going to absolutely get blown out of the water. And that if he thinks at all he'll ever be president, it's through some miraculous stroke of good luck for him, right? And so he's going to run this. He's going to run in this, what will be a clown car primary. It'll be a circular firing squad of a bunch of Republican special interests. You're going to have the big ag guy. That'll be Mike Pence. You're going to have the military industrial complex person. I don't know who that'll be. It was Nikki Haley last time, right? Like, you're just going to have everybody's special interest. And what happens is the presidential candidate gets money. They get all of that, like, donor bucks ciphered back to them and they're the people under them. And it keeps the interests in the news. And so I think what he's doing is what is the best thing that Israel's decided needs to be in the news right now is attacking Tucker Carlson. And so he's just doing their dirty work. You know, it's just wild how they're not stopping, even though they destroyed the public opinion on Israel. But I can tell you it's not working on Tucker Carlson. I don't know if you knew this, but we polled on him, and, you know, the left hates him.
Yeah.
And his numbers have slipped with Republicans, certainly, since when he was fired from Fox. But he's still 60% favorable among Republicans to only 22% unfavorable, only 11% very unfavorable. So it's not really working. Like, he is very popular among Republicans. So you look at the Texas Senate situation, and you got John Cornyn and you got Ted Cruz, and the races have been tight. Like, Texas did pretty well in 2024 for Trump, whatever it was like plus 10 or something, right? But we all know that Trump's not going to be on the ballot again. We all know that Texas is a lot less good for Republicans when Trump's not there. And all of a sudden you got Jasmine Crockett redistricted out. She's a hot commodity among Democrats right now. And maybe she's going to run this time against John Cornyn, or maybe she holds out and runs against Ted Cruz when he's up in 2030. And I don't know if he wins that, if he's going to be talking about Israel and freaking Tucker Carlson for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, is that his single issue? Yeah.
Go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I mean, is that going to be his single issue? A lot of people have made that their single issue. You look at the Huckabees too. I didn't know this, but apparently, like, that was the only ad that Sarah Huckabee Sanders cut in her run for Arkansas governor, was about how her trip to the Wailing Wall transformed her politics. And now you have Mike Huckabee out there today leading report. No, nothing to see here, folks. Epstein was totally not at all about a foreign government running compromise on people.